Tim with Death by Music, and I am talking to...
Hi, this is Tace from Cobra The Impaler.
Awesome, definitely. So my very first question I got, who comes up with the album artwork, the layout of the album artwork, and who comes up with the name? Is it something that you guys do as a joint collective, or something that you guys do individually?
No, it's actually something I do all the artwork. I also founded the band a few years back and also writing all the music, so I'm kind of in charge of this band.
Well, there you go. So you're basically the I guess the main boss or the main guy.
Yeah, more or less, I guess. So, yeah.
Definitely. So when you guys do when you guys write an album, is it something that you control completely, or do you spread it out a little bit?
More or less. I always write the songs on guitar and then make demos at home and send them over to both our singers. And I'm quite fortunate to have two really talented vocalists in my band, so they always surprise me when I send them stuff and they send it back to me. It's always really interesting to hear what they came up with. And with this album, again, I'm really happy with the stuff they wrote. So it's a bit of a joint venture, like going back and forth in between guitar based songs and then added value with the vocals.
And as far as the albums on the song, what is your favorite one to play?
On this album, I think I would have to say the opening track, Magnetic Hex. It's one that I really like to play live.
And as far as the influences of like what made you play music and so forth like that, who influenced you growing up?
When I was a kid, my dad always took me to like those great open air festivals in the 90s, and then I got introduced to bands like Sepultura, Metallica, also bands like the Pixies. So it really had a massive influence on me seeing those bands live, especially in that era.
And who came up with the I guess the name of the album, and how did that come about?
The name of the album, Karma Collision, is something that our one of the singers came up with. And I think it was actually at first the name of a song, but we thought it was a strong title, and that's why we chose to pick it as or select it as the album title as well.
And is there any special meaning or anything behind the name of the band?
Not really. It's just one day it popped in my head, and I didn't put a lot of thought on it. And it's to me, it's a bit like I see like a bit of a superhero villain, whatever, like in vein of Cobra. What's the name of that movie again? With Schwarzenegger, forgot the name.
He's done so many.
Conan the Barbarian.
Okay.
It's like those old 80s, 70s, 80s superhero stuff. So to me, it's a bit of a personality as well.
As far as like creating an album and doing all that, how long did the process take to create this particular album?
Quite long, actually. It's quite intense to write this kind of music because it's layered. Like all guitars are layered. A lot of harmonies, vocals are layered. Also a lot of harmonies. So it's like one big puzzle. It's like I said before. I kind of flesh out demos and ideas, and then we go back and forth, adding vocals and then doing some adjustments, so that there's like room for everything. If we don't want it to be too busy. Sometimes the vocals are like the main thing in a part of the song, and then on the other parts it's more like guitar riffage that is important. So it also, like, mixing wise, it's quite the effort to get it right, because we don't want to we want to avoid that it's like an avalanche of stuff. So it's
right.
Dynamics are really important in this band. So it's I started in September, and then we wrapped up mid-March. But basically worked full time and even double time in making this album.
What separates this album from your previous album?
I think we're more Of a band these days. In the beginning, it was just me writing the songs, having joined the vocalist joining later, and then also had Derek Verburen of Megadeth playing drums. He's a friend of mine, and both of us played in Belgian death metal band Aborted. They're still around these days, so we always stayed in touch, and I always was like impressed working with him back in the days, and was like, yeah, one day we have to do something again together. And when I introduced him to the idea and the concept of Cobra The Impaler, he was really psyched to work on this. But obviously his schedule is insane, and he was also living in LA, so I knew from the get-go that he won't it wouldn't be possible to have him as a steady drummer. So I started looking for guys to join and to join the band and play the songs live. I'm fortunate to find a lot of talented musicians in this band, so we're we are all good friends, and when we start working on this album, we basically had like an actual group, and in the first album it was more of a project where I was like assembling the right musicians, so it's that's the main difference, I would say.
What has been what was the very first album you've ever bought with your own money?
I think it was Killers from Iron Maiden. Yeah, it must have been Killers.
And what was the very first concert you ever went to?
I think the Lemonheads, like really long time ago. And then the first festival was also a festival in Belgium where Iggy Pop was playing, and it was also something that really impressed me at that young age, because it was so fierce and nasty and like sheer rock and roll, and I really had a massive impact as well.
What I guess what advice would you give to other bands that are coming up, and you've been around the block, you've played bigger festivals, you've done stuff over in Europe. I don't know, have you played in the States yet?
With this band, not, but we Aborted, my previous band. So we toured the States a few times. Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to up and coming bands? What's to kind of like their journey to? I think nowadays, I don't know if you agree with this. I think nowadays the concept of being like, I'm going to be found, I'm going to be the next Metallica, I'm going to be the next whatever. I don't think that's ever going to happen ever again. I don't think that's because of the music industry, how it's formed, how it's going. Even being on a big record label, I think that's just a misconception of what things are really are. What advice would you give, like direction to go?
I would say, like, do it with passion and do it from the guts, because if you're not genuine, people won't buy it. So I think that's something really crucial in music. That's because sometimes you hear guys starting bands with a certain I want to do something like this band, I want to do something like that.
Yeah.
But I think if you there's no formula, for success. But I think being honest and true to yourself and do it with a lot of gut feeling. I think that's if you're passionate about it, people will notice, I think. And you have to spend a lot of time if you want to make a band happen. It's all about putting in the hard work.
I completely agree. I always tell I tell the story, and I always tell this almost on every interview. I don't think there's any at all. I don't think there's no foreplay in music anymore. It's immediate gratification. I want to be on a festival now. I want this to be now. I want this to be now. And I think bands have, and I said this before, they've already accumulated X amount of years underneath their belt, and they just assume that, well, I'm going to hire someone, I'm going to do this, and then all of a sudden, bada boom, bada bing, I'm going to be this big band, and I'm going to tour, and I'm going to do all this stuff. And that's just not how it works, There's
no magic wand. There's no shortcuts. It's about if you enjoy it and you really like it, do it. You don't mind playing in a bar for for 25 people, you know, and then steady grow, and then that's you. If you enjoy it, you don't mind, because a lot of bands these days, young guys, have like some sort of a template that they want to start off with to take shortcuts and hope that they can,
and that's
avoid hard work, even if you will. But I think if you do it with passion and you're willing to put in hard work, you might have a shot on making stuff happen. But it's also music these days is also a bit like the lottery. It's, you have to be lucky that you find the right people, that you have like you're surrounded by a good booking agency, that there's local promoters in other countries that are believing your bands, that want to give you a shot. So it's all about working hard, be passionate about it, and hope that it will happen.
Oh yeah, it's there's a lot of money involved, and that's not even there's no guarantees in anything. But listening to like your band and listening to what you guys are doing and how you guys are doing it, I think is a great example of where to go, and kind of like a good starting point of like, hey, this is where you need to go, this is where you need to be.
Thanks, man. That's a great compliment.
Oh, you're definitely welcome. What's the biggest festival that you've played so far?
That's Hellfest. That's in France. That's insane. I think it's, you have Wacken in Germany. That's a really great festival, but Hellfest is amazing. It's they have such awesome lineup every year. It's actually happening this weekend, and they have it's insane, the lineup again every year, impressive. And we were fortunate to open the main stage last year, same day as Iron Maiden. So that's also really great to share the bill with insane bands like that.
How was it looking out? How many people did you play in front of?
Oh, I have no idea. I think when it's sold out, it must be somewhat 50, 60,000 people, I would guess. I'm not really sure. Yeah, opening in an early spot, you obviously don't pay for the same amount of people as Iron Maiden, but we still had an amazing crowd. So, yeah, we were honored to open that festival.
Your anxiety must have been going through the roof. I would just imagine looking out into that sea of people and be like, oh, if I fuck up.
It's quite intimidating, but when you're playing, then it's all the stress is gone. But living up to it, it's quite stressful. Absolutely.
Absolutely, it is. Where can everyone find your music and find all your stuff?
Sorry?
Where can everyone find your music? Where do they need to go?
Well, I think I would say all the obvious social channels, and then on Spotify, we have a bunch of music videos and live stuff that's also on YouTube. So yeah, I think if you Google us on the internet, you will end up in the right places for sure.
And I always ask this question, no matter what the band is or whatever. Whenever you're touring Europe or whenever you're going to play a show, what is your go-to food?
That's definitely Asian foods. Yeah, we always try to look for good Asian restaurants when we're on tour.
I always hear it's way different than it is here in the States. Like it's Asian food is way different than, like, it's not the normal Chinese restaurant that we called it over here. It's very different food. Have you tried that yet, or have you experienced that?
I've definitely had Asian food in the States, but I think it depends. Like, there's a really amazing Japanese restaurant I went to in New York, but I don't remember the name. But I think you have to ask around and inform and have a good look on the internet before you. If it's just like passing by and then hopping in, then you probably it's probably a tourist trap or disappointing. But I think if you look for a nice restaurant, you always find some.
Yeah,
there's a broad variety of Asian restaurants.
I think it's like I learned a lot about if you go to a good Asian restaurant, which is very few and far between here, but you just can't go to the PF Chang's and
Of course, yeah, that's
you're
great.
gonna, if you want a bunch of salt, then that's where you need to go. So, but
Greece and salt, yeah.
and that's I found out very quickly that that's not the way to go. But I enjoyed your album. I thought it was really good. I wouldn't have asked for an interview if it wasn't. I think that you guys are very talented. I'm hoping to see you live one day. It's the chances of that, it's hard because you guys are over in Europe and then coming over to the States. But I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck. I really enjoyed everything, and so we're going to push this out as much as we can and push it as far as we can. And then if you ever need any help with anything, we've got other services and other stuff, and we'll definitely help out bands that we, any types of bands, we help them out as much as we can. Anything to support metal.
I really appreciate your kind words, and we definitely would hope to come to the States one day. I think it's an amazing country, and I loved touring there before, so it's definitely an ambition. We would definitely be open for it, but it's like, you're not in control of everything, so it's also, we have to build and hopefully make something happen in the States someday.
Absolutely. I think it's always every band that plays here that wants to play in Europe, and every European band wants to play in the States, and they're both beautiful countries, and they both have a lot to offer for musicians. But at the same degree, it's a shame that it costs so much to go from either or, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. But now we just live in that age. It just is what it is.
Yeah. It is absolutely true, but still, this will not hold us back trying.
No, sir. No, sir. But thank you for doing the interview. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, and try to stay cool as much as possible.
Okay, man. You're absolutely welcome, and thanks very much for your interest in our band and your kind words.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.